ut, velut, sīcut, prout, quid significant. Thomas Vaughan asked me to say something about the difference between all these little words that end in ut, sīcut, velut, prout. And the basic idea is that they all mean pretty much the same thing, but there are little variations, little shades in meaning that you want to be aware of as you're reading, especially very systematic, logically oriented authors like Aquinas. So let's do ut first. Ut is the base word, and its range of meaning is pretty close to the English word as. So when it has no verb or it is paired with an indicative verb, it denotes some kind of connection. So it can be an example of something in the main clause. It can be an analogy or a comparison, like the English word like. It can also denote the time when something happened. And if you go through examples of the word as in your head in English, you'll realize that that's pretty close to the English word as. Now, what you want to watch, however, is that with the subjunctive, it has a different meaning. Ut with the subjunctive is going to mark out either the reason an action is performed or the result of an action. And there are rules for determining which is which, but that's what it means with the subjunctive, and I'll give some examples at the end of this video. All right, and then we have sīcut. Sīcut is really just a more intensive version of ut. I like to compare it to as versus just as, or like versus just like in English. So it's going to be more like exactly like, or in the same way as. Something you want to watch with sīcut, though, is that it's not going to be used in that subjunctive sense of showing intention or result. Really, none of these derivative words are. Also, sīcut is very often used to mark in scholastic text to mark examples. And so as you're reading a text, you want, just like with ut, you want to think through, is this an example of a class, or is it an analogy? Is it a connected phenomenon that's similar but isn't part of that family, really? So, and then you have velut. And again, velut is pretty close to ut. It can mark an example. It can mark a comparison. It is used a lot to mark hypotheticals with the subjunctive. I believe sīcut can be too, so you can use a phrase like velut si or ut si with the subjunctive to mean as if. So you want to watch for that. And then finally, prout. Prout is, again, another comparison word. Prout tends to be more specifically some kind of proportion, a comparison of degree or extent. So it's going to be a little more almost mathematical or quantitative. Not always, but it has that shade of meaning. So ut, velut, sīcut, prout, they all have pretty similar meanings, but there are little variations you want to watch. And in particular, you want to, and when you're reading a philosophical text or a theological text, what you want to watch for is, first off, is there an ut plus subjunctive cause that's talking about a result or an intention? And beyond that, am I talking about what kind of connection? Am I talking about an example, a real example? Am I talking about a comparison with something real? Am I talking about a hypothetical comparison? Am I talking about the time something happened, a proportion? And those are not really things you can get by knowing exactly which word is being used. It's more about reading a lot and getting a feel for it. So I hope that helps. Let me know any other questions you have, or any other, tricky little words in Latin that you'd like explanations of. Oh, and I forgot to mention, too, that this video went longer than I meant it to, unsurprisingly. So I'm going to make a second video with examples of each one in Latin and tips for how to leverage advanced dictionaries to get more examples for practice. All right. Vale, omnes.